Hello everyone, I'm Aylin. Just like every Thursday, we are here again this week with a new topic, which is fire and gas detection in residences, in homes. So choosing the right fire detection system really depends on the type and size of the building, and it is important both for catching fires early and avoiding false alarms. So first you need to look at what kind of place it is. So like an apartment or villa or large residential complexes. So in smaller apartments, simple systems with conventional or addressable smoke detectors are usually enough. But in bigger places like villas or large residences, addressable systems are a better choice because they let you see exactly which device is triggered. So you can quickly find where the problem is, where the fire is. So the type of detectors work well in areas like bedrooms, living rooms, and hallways. So the type of detector also matters a lot. But in places like kitchens, bathrooms, or boiler rooms, where steam or heat changes are common, heat detectors are a better option to avoid false alarms. For larger or more complex areas like parking garages or high ceilings, beam detectors or aspirating smoke detectors, aspirating systems are usually more suitable. So you should also think about the system itself, like whether the fire alarm panel can handle future expansion and if it is reliable. So it's a good idea to connect the system with sounders, beacons, and even voice announcement systems. Also, in bigger projects, integration with building management systems or central monitoring can make things much more effective. And power backup is another key point. So the system should keep working even during a power cut. So battery support is essential. And of course, regular maintenance and testing are needed to make sure everything is always ready. And finally, make sure all devices meet the required standards like EN54 and are properly installed and that users know how the system works. So all of these plays a big role in early detection and overall safety. So, fire and gas detection systems are really important for keeping homes safe, as we mentioned, and things we use every day, like electrical devices, heating systems, or cooking, it can sometimes lead to fires or gas leaks without us even noticing. So the problem is these risks can develop quietly and spread very quickly. So that's why early detection makes such a big difference. So these systems can catch issues at an early stage, warn you right away, and give you time to react before things get worse. So in the end, they help prevent both serious injuries and costly damage. So having fire and gas detection in a home isn't just a nice extra anymore. So it's something you really need for safe living. So here we can see the placement of these smoke detectors. So a smoke detector can cover up to 6.2 meters in radius. So in open areas, if you are placing detectors in a square layout here, so they can be spaced up to 8.8 meters apart, and the distance from walls or large obstacles should not be more than 4.4 meters. So in narrow corridors up to 2 meters wide, things are simpler. So you only need to think about the center line. So in this case, detectors can be placed up to 12.4 meters apart, and the distance to the wall should still be no more than 6.2 meters. Or if the ceiling is sloped, you can slightly increase these distances. For every degree of the detector, you can add about 1% more distance up to a maximum increase of 25%. So, the explosive gases, when we look at the explosive gases, every explosive gas has what's called a lower explosive limit or explosion limit. This is the minimum concentration of the gas in the air where it can actually ignite or explode. So if the level is below this, there isn't enough gas for an explosion to happen. So on the other hand, there is also an upper explosion limit, which is UEL, and this is the maximum concentration at which the gas can still explode. The gas level goes above this, there's actually too much gas and not enough oxygen, so it won't ignite. So basically, an explosion can only happen when the gas level is between the LEL, lower explosive limit, and UEL, upper explosive limit. So another key point is where you install gas detectors. So the mounting height depends on the type of gas you are trying to detect. So for example, methane detectors should be installed about 5 to 15 centimeters below the ceiling. So when choosing the location, you should place the detector where the gas is most likely to collect. So avoid putting it inside enclosed spaces like cabinets. Also, one detector can cover up to 50 meters square, but if areas are separated by walls or partitions, even small ones, each space should have its own detector. So you should also stay away from airflow sources, and if there are ventilation systems like extractor fans, keep the detector at least 1.5 meters away. So similarly, don't install detectors directly above stoves or hoods, and to avoid damage or false readings, false alarms. So keep them away from areas where water might splash, like sinks or showers. That's the point. So here we are seeing a placement sample of methane detector in a kitchen, as you can see. So here we are seeing the LEL and UEL levels of methane gas. So the lower explosive limit is here and the upper explosive limit is here. So there is an ignition can be occur. There will be there might be explosion in the here in the 5 and 50% of gas, and also here lack of methane gas is, and the lack of oxygen here. There's a rich mixture, so there will be no explosion, there will be no explosion, but there might be an explosion here. So placement of the LPG detector. So here is the placement, and when choosing where to install a gas detector, the first thing to think about is where the gas would most likely build up, most likely collect, as we mentioned. So you shouldn't install detector, install the closed spaces like cabinets. Also we mentioned that. So for LPG, it is butane and propane mixture, and the placement is different because it's heavier than air, and these gases tend to sink. So the detector should be installed 15 to 25 centimeters above the floor and about 1.5 meters horizontally away from the gas source. So here is the sample application of the LPG detector placement. So now we are seeing the LEL and UEL levels of the butane propane mixture. So the LEL value is 2.1%, which means it can become explosive at a relatively low concentration. So in general, the lower the LEL of a gas, the more dangerous it is, because even a small amount in the air can create an explosion risk. So that's why gas detectors are especially important in places like kitchens or tea rooms, where there is a higher risk of gas leaks. So they help detect the gas early, so you can take action before it reaches dangerous levels. And also the UEL level is 9.6%. So when choosing a gas detector for a home or workplace, you need to consider a few things, like the alarm level of the device and the type of environment it will be used in, and what kind of automatic actions like shutting off gas or triggering ventilation should happen when an alarm is triggered. So here is the carbon monoxide detector placement sample in a garage. For carbon monoxide, placement is a bit different. Carbon monoxide is nearly the same weight as air, so it spreads evenly in the environment. So that's why carbon monoxide detectors should be installed about 1.5 meters above the floor and around 1.5 meters away from the potential source. So like the human height, actually, approximately a human height. So here is a sample of the carbon monoxide detector's placement in a garage. So here, using sounders and manual call points in residential buildings is really important for early fire detection also, and quick response. So especially in places like apartments, buildings, or housing complexes, these devices don't just detect a fire, they also alert everyone in the building at the same time, and especially helping people react quickly and safely. So that's all for today. Thanks for your participation. Next week we will be meet again at 11 a.m. See you.